I'm Craig Spear, the founder of the Spear Method, where I help men over 40 lose weight and build confidence. So glad that you clicked on this video here because I want to talk to you about how to eliminate late night snacking or just snacking in general. And snacking is one of those things where it's often impulsive. We don't really plan it. We don't need the food for fuel. So we're just kind of doing it to numb ourselves, to distract ourselves from essentially feeling uncomfortable emotions. That's primarily when snacking shows up. Uncomfortable emotions include feeling bored, feeling frustrated, feeling tired, even just, emotional fatigue. It could be feeling anxious about the day tomorrow. So just know that when you experience a food urge, okay, or the desire to snack, that is an emotion, right? So what is an emotion? An emotion is simply a thought that starts in your brain and then moves into your body, and you experience it as a vibration. So the simplest way to kind of describe this is if you're about to do something you're really excited about. So I used to play football. I used to get really excited, kind of nervous before my games. And so I'd feel butterflies in my stomach. So that was the vibration I was feeling in my body. And so we feel emotions all day, every day. And a lot of times, we weren't really taught how to process and manage emotions or how to regulate ourselves emotionally. And so a lot of times these emotions go unprocessed, unregulated. We just push them down. And instead what we do is we seek external things to feel better, right? So, we go on our phones to feel better, to get a hit of dopamine. We eat, we overdrink, we go online, we spend money. So all of these things are external buffers that we do in order to feel better. Okay, so just know that when you experience an urge, there's three things that can happen. There's only three things that can happen when you feel an urge. And that is you can give into it, which is what we're used to, right? So we experience the urge, the impulse, and so then we give into that thing or that food or that drink. Second thing we could do, which most people do when they go on a diet, is they rely on willpower to resist it, right? So I'm not going to eat that thing. I'm not going to eat that thing. They just deny themselves. And the third thing that we can do is to process the emotion, to allow it, and then by virtue, allow that emotion to kind of dissipate and disappear, right? Now, there's a problem with the first two. The problem with giving into an urge or an impulse is just by nature, you eat food, it feels good, it tastes good, and so we are rewarding the impulse. We're actually rewarding the likelihood of it happening again in the future. We're conditioning ourselves. And that's why most people have this kind of consistent routine of snacking at night. So, they eat dinner, or they put the kids to bed, or they wrap up some work, or they clean up a little bit. They're watching TV. And next thing you know, now it's time to snack. The body's been conditioned that way. And every time you give in to an urge, you are rewarding that impulse and the likelihood of it happening again. The problem with number two, which is to resist, which I think is even worse than giving in, is you are depriving yourself, okay? And when we deprive ourselves, when we restrict and resist, what we're doing is we're increasing the likelihood of giving into it later on. And at that point, we'll probably give in more, right? So it's not unlike, holding your breath, okay? At some point, you're going to need to breathe. And when you do, you're going to breathe deeper, you're going to breathe more because you've been denying yourself of oxygen. So those two scenarios are not good. And so we need to take different action. We need to train ourselves to implement a different strategy. And so that's where the process of processing and allowing an emotion is more important and more valuable. So what does that mean to allow an emotion? So think of 3 A's, the 3A approach. So the first thing is to be aware, right? And so when you have to be aware that you are experiencing an emotion and an urge. And a lot of people, this is unconscious. It just kind of happens. Next thing you know, they're watching TV and then they're in front of the fridge or in the pantry and they're grabbing a bunch of food. So we need to increase our awareness. And the easiest way to do this is to create a daily protocol. This is something I truly believe in, and I instruct all my clients to create a daily protocol, make decisions about what you're going to eat ahead of time and write it down. Okay, I have a whole video series on protocols that you should check out. But what this does, this opens up a window in terms of awareness and consciousness and allows us to see when we are having urges. So the first thing is be aware. The second thing is to acknowledge, oh, I'm having an urge here, and acknowledge what the emotion is. So am I feeling bored? Am I feeling anxious? Why am I having this increased desire to eat and have a snack right now? It's usually an underlying emotion. And once you can kind of identify that, try to acknowledge where it is in your body. So as I mentioned before, I used to feel these butterflies in my stomach. Well, maybe you're feeling tense in your chest, or tightness in your chest, or tension in your shoulders, or maybe you're just jittery, you can't relax, you can't sit still. And so because of this uncomfortable feeling in your body, this uncomfortable vibration in your body, that's pushing you to go and seek food and eat food so you can feel better. So just acknowledge where you are experiencing that emotion in your body. And then most importantly, there's nothing to do at that point other than allow it. Okay, just be with it, invite that emotion in, let it be there, allow it to be there, rather than try to push it down or to distract yourself by external means. Okay, the more you do this, the more you practice this, the more resilient you become, and the more you realize that I can regulate these emotions without doing anything else other than just allowing it. It's very powerful. And if you really need something to do to help regulate yourself and reduce that desire for the urge to eat, you can set a timer for 90 seconds, because that's usually how long these urges and emotions last. Set a timer for 90 seconds and then just breathe into that, meditate, just relax your body, sort of breathe into that space where you're feeling that vibration in your body. Okay, so that's how you deal with late night snacking, or snacking in general. Is just acknowledge the urge, or firstly, be aware of it, acknowledge where it is in your body, and then allow it to be there. And the more you do this, they say that every time you process an urge, every time you process about 100 urges, that's 10 pounds of body weight that you're going to lose, simply because you're not giving in and eating the food down the line. Okay, so really effective practice, put it into place. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram at The Spear Method, or on LinkedIn. Search for Craig Spear Weight Loss Coach, and we can connect there. Thanks a lot for watching.